This is our CIS476 term project presentation. Today we will be sharing our implementation of DriveShare, which is a peer-to-peer car rental platform that allows users to list, search, and rent cars, as well as communicate through an in-app messaging system and submit reviews after rentals. Today it'll be myself, Malak Mohsen, and my partner presenting Nisar Saleh, and we're excited to present our demo to you. Throughout our demo, we're going to show you how each part of the application works. We're also going to explain the design patterns that we've used and how they were implemented to create a scalable and maintainable application. So as you can see here, I already have the app launched, so we're going to go ahead and start with login and password recovery. So at the login page, when the user enters their email and their password, our system authenticates the credentials against our database. For this, we're using the singleton pattern for session management. So our user session singleton ensures that the logged in user's data, such as their ID, their email, their full name, is available globally, and once they're logged in, the login module communicates with the dashboard via the mediator pattern, which decouples the components for easier maintenance. We also offer a password recovery option, as mentioned in the project description. If the user clicks Forgot Password, the password recovery dialog will appear, and here the user will be able to enter their registered email and answer the 3 security questions, and if the answers match the data in our database, they're able to set up a new password. This additional flow secures the application and provides a reliable way for users to regain access if they forget their credentials. So now we're going to look at the actual registration process. Being that I'm a new user, I'm going to show you how it would look like for someone to register. The registration window will open, collect the user's full name in addition to the email, the password, the security questions, and it'll store the full name and allow us to display a personalized welcome message on the dashboard. The registration window itself doesn't implement a specific design pattern, but it lays the foundation for our session management and the personalized user experience. Once the user registers successfully, they're ultimately redirected to the login page via our mediator, which ensures a smooth transition between the screens. So now I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'm going to go ahead and press register. I'm going to put in my full name. I'm going to try an email. Password. I was born in the USA. My pet's favorite name is Sakura. And then we're going to do mother's name is Mohsen as well. I'm going to click register. So it redirects me to the login page. Now I can go ahead and use that login that I just created to go into the dashboard area. So, as you can see, I have a personalized message on my dashboard welcoming me into the application. However, before we go past, I'm going to go back to log out, and I'm going to click Forgot Password. So I'm going to put in my email. And I'm going to purposefully answer one of these messages, or one of these questions incorrectly. So I'm going to misspell the last name and try to enter a new password. One or more answers are incorrect, so it's not going to let me reset my password. Now when I type the correct security answer, password updated successfully, and it takes me back into login. I'm going to fix the password, login now, I'm back into my dashboard. So, as you can see, after logging in, the user is greeted by a personalized dashboard. Notice how the welcome message uses the user's name instead of like an email address, for example. This personalization comes from our updated session data, which is stored in user session singleton. The dashboard also displays the user's current balance for ease and accessibility, and it'll allow them to add funds if necessary. Of course, it will be necessary if they try to rent a car, and it'll immediately reflect. So I'm going to go ahead and try that now. For reference, I'm going to add an amount that is probably not enough to rent a car, just so we can see what that would look like if I tried to rent a car and I didn't have enough money. So we're going to do $50. I'm going to add balance, and you see that the balance is immediately reflected. So this feedback enhances the user experience, and it makes the platform feel very responsive because it is very responsive. So now we're moving on to the car listings page. This page is primarily for car owners. Here they're going to be able to view all of their current listings, and they will also have the option to add a new car listing. We're going to use the builder pattern for this process. The car builder class is responsible for constructing car objects by collecting information like the model, the year, the mileage, the location, price per day, the availability, just like you see in front of you, the fields down here. The builder pattern will help ensure that every car object is built consistently before it's inserted into our database. Owners will also be able to update their listings from here. So for example, if a car's availability or the rental price changes, they can simply double click on the listing and update the details via a couple of dialog prompts. I'm going to go ahead and show you that in a second, but the logic behind this, the update functionality calls our database manager methods, which will update the availability, the price per day fields in the database, and this will provide a straightforward and user-friendly way for the owners to keep their listings accurate. So now I'm going to show you what that looks like in real time. I'm going to go ahead and add a car. We can do a Ford F-150. Say the year is 2018. It has about 100,000 miles on it. We're going to put it in Novi, Michigan. I'm going to put price per day at $65. I'm going to put that it's available from today until the end of the year. I'm going to go ahead, add the car listing. So immediately we see that it's added over here. It doesn't have any reviews yet because no one's booked it yet. But I'm going to go ahead and double click on it and see what happens. So I'm able to enter new availability when I double click. So instead of it being available to the end of the year, we're going to do till the end of the month. So I'm going to change it from 0409 to 2025 05 01. Okay, and then if I wanted to change the price, let's say 65 is too expensive, I'm going to change it to 60. Car listing has been updated, and then immediately the change is reflected right here. As you can see, it went from December of 2025 to May of 2025, and the price is now $60 a day. If in any case the car listing did not update itself, we also have a refresh listings button, but as you saw, it is very responsive, and so it's very user-friendly. Now my partner is going to go ahead and show you what it looks like when you try to search for your rental, the different fields that you would have to put in, and then the resulting fields that come out of that.
Hello everyone, so we'll be exploring the search page where we'll be looking for active listings. So let's look for listings that we know are active, so let's look for Dearborn, and then we're going to have to set a mileage for sure to see them right here. We see 2 in Dearborn. Maybe also let's look at Detroit, also 2 in Detroit, but let's say a city that nobody here heard of, let's say LA, no. Los Angeles, also no. So only ones that are available will show up. I mean, that should be obvious. And then let's say we actually want to book, so we're gonna look at Dearborn. We're gonna set a maximum mileage. Let's say we want to rent this out, and we press rent select car. So we have to set dates. It has to be a set date for us to be able to rent it. So it tells us the format right here. We're gonna go 2025. Let's say in the month of June, the 10th, and then we're going to rent it from the 10th to the 15th. And we're gonna select it, and then we're just gonna say we don't have sufficient funds, so we're gonna go back here. Let's say add 1,000 just in case. And then we're going to go back right here, and I'm going to do rent. It's going to give us an ID for a booking ID number 5 and a reviewee ID number 3. And these are going to be useful for the review section. I just wanted to point out that for searching and finding all this data stored in the database, the builder pattern is what helps us do that. Organizes a query that we can pull and consistently pull data at like a consistent amount of time and a reliable amount of time. And we use the proxy pattern for payment processing. So we can go back here to the dashboard and we can see that it took the amount of money out of the balance. We can see that it went down. And also for consistency and safety, the proxy pattern is very useful in this case. Another use case that I did want to show is out of bound dates. So let's say you want to rent this car out, but we can see that it's only available from April out of bounds. We can see that this listing in Novi for the F-150 is not available after May. So we're going to change this to Novi, but we're going to keep these dates that go from June 20th to June 29th. You see, it won't even pop up for us to rent it out because it's out of bounds for these dates. So if you remove these dates and we're just looking for Novi and that kind of mileage, it will show up. But here, if we try to put, unless we put the proper dates, so if I was instead to put, let's do April 9th. To April 18th. We can see that it's here. We can see the insufficient funds, so we'll have to add more funds to it. We rent it. And here it is. The proxy should take, now 600 should be deducted from the balance. Booking ID number 7 and reviewee ID number 4. Those are going to help us right here. So let's say a review has been submitted. So booking ID 4, you give it a rating, and let's say good experience. We can see the review here is submitted. And then if you go over here, even though it says no reviews, we'll just refresh it. The review will pop up for the car right over here. And here we can see our rental history. Also same thing like the builder. All these stuff is compiled into a query, pulled from the database, a SQL query. And then using the builder pattern, we use this to consistently display 1, 2, 3, and even other bookings if needed. It will all be using the exact same builder pattern. And then finally we have here the messages. It's a little bit tricky because I don't feel like it's the 100% most efficient, but you're going to look for an email. For example, we have an email test.gmail.com, and you press start chat, and you can reach out over here and you can be like, hello, I am inquiring about a car. So it says it's sent from this email. So if we log out and then we go to over here, we can see that we have this in our inbox, and we can reply. Now we can log out and see if it also went the other way. So Yep, and here it is. Just a regular chatting system. The last thing about this messenger that I wanted to point out was the use of the singleton pattern for the user that's logged in. So all this information here is using basically pulling in one way, it's pulling the information from the SQL database about this user, and then we're also using the mediator pattern to centralize the communication between the different units, like the UI and like the buttons and stuff like that. Um, like logging and switching between the main dashboard. Those are the two main patterns that we're using for the messenger. One last thing I wanted to point out about the review section was the booking ID. Let's say I had a random booking ID and a random reviewee ID, and I try to type something over here and try to submit a review. It says it was successful, but if you see, it did not submit, so the pop-up message is wrong. But yeah, basically, if there's the booking ID and the review ID don't match or have not been generated, then that means there's no instances, and that means they could never exist. One last thing that we forgot to point out was the password recovery pattern uses the chain of responsibility for the password recovery. It has separate handlers for each security question. Just to verify that the correct data was processed and that the correct input was entered. For chaining for the handlers, and in chaining, it just means that before you can move on to the next question or the code looks even at the next question, the first question has to be correct. I think that's it for this program. Thank you for listening.